Hey everybody, welcome back to Reach and Reverie. Now here in the back garden, before I get a chance to really plant out all of my seedlings, I need to get these Oyas into the ground. Oyas are what I'm going to be using this season as an irrigation tool in some of my raised garden beds. Here's what they look like outside of the boxes. Now what I'm going to do with these terracotta clay pots is I'm actually going to bury them under the ground until they're pretty much up at this neck. So the majority of these pots are going to be under the soil. And what you do is you water inside the pots, and the water actually comes out through the pot and waters your plants. So the process is I'm just going to dig a hole, bury them. I'm going to fill it with a water hose, and you can actually get away with watering much less, only a couple times a week through these. Now I have the medium-sized GrowOya, so each one of these can water up to a 3 foot by 3 foot space. These garden beds are 3 feet by 8 feet, so I'm still going to probably have to supplement water in a few areas, but this is drastically going to reduce the amount of water that we are going to require this year, which is amazing. We live in the Chihuahuan Desert of far western Texas, which means it's really hot and really dry. So a lot of the water that we put into the soil just runs off and evaporates, which causes a lot of waste. And the fact that it's so hot and dry means all of that water that evaporates is not being used to its full potential. And so we're going through a lot more water than we need to, and it's taking me a lot longer to water the garden by hand than if I use these GrowOyas. So I'm really excited to use these this season, and I'm going to show y'all the progress and the pros and cons and how they work throughout the growing season to let you know if the GrowOya may be right for you. The GrowOya is best when used with plants that have fibrous root systems. It's not recommended for root vegetables like carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, things like that, but it's great for things like tomatoes, corn, anything with a fibrous root system, basically most of the vegetables that you're going to grow, flowers, things like that. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be using it for this season. So I'm going to put 2 right here. I'll show you the process of installing those, but let me take you up to the front garden bed where I already have one in use. Now, this GrowOya that I have up front was the inspiration of it all this year for me. Luis and I, we just got married a couple weeks ago, and my sister Lauren, she sent me a GrowOya as a wedding gift for Luis and I. So I am not sponsored by GrowOya at all. My sister got us one, and I was inspired and got 4 more. No sponsorship there, just me trying out a new product, and I'm going to bring y'all along the way and share with you how well it works for me. So here we are. This is our first garden bed that is planted out, and it has a GrowOya in it. This is the same medium-sized GrowOya that's in the back garden beds. I'm gonna have 4 back there, and I have 1 in this bed. Now this garden bed is about 2 feet by 3.5 feet, and GrowOyas of medium size are recommended for garden beds that are 3 by 3. So this one's a little bit off dimension wise, but I think it is gonna do great. So in this garden space, I have heavy hitter okra. I have 5 of these, and then I also have a couple alyssum in here as well. Now these are all plants that have fibrous root systems and should do wonderful with the GrowOya. You see my little rubber snake? This is an attempt to keep the sparrows from eating my little seedlings as they're establishing over here. You can see I already have flowers on that white alyssum, and my okras, they're doing pretty good. I planted these out about 2 days ago, and they're doing pretty good. Now you can see the top of the soil looks dry. I'm going to end up mulching this, but what's cool, this GrowOya allows water to seep out the walls of the plant, and it'll soak into the soil, and the plants only use as much water as they need. So I fill this up probably twice a week. Oh, they're freaking out because there's a turkey vulture flying. See it? Or is that a turkey vulture? Or is that a hawk? Interesting. The wings look like the turkey vulture, but the tail feathers look almost like a black hawk. You see it, Dyson? What was that? I think he's alert. Good boy. This is why when we're not home and we have the chickens out, say I'm gonna run an errand and I wanna leave the chickens free ranging, always leave Dyson outside. Because look at that, he picked up on the fact that there was that alleged black hawk flying over the area. Good boy. You gonna watch the chickens? He's watching out for it. I don't know if y'all heard, the chickens made that like dinosaur noise. They're like, "Brrr!" And they always do that, I've noticed, when they see or think there's an aerial predator. Okay. Is it gone, bud? Is it gone? Where is it? Where'd it go? I've been teaching him when I see big birds flying overhead, I point and I say, "What's that?" Yeah, right? I say, "What's that? What's that?" And then he starts looking. Like when I hear the owl hoot, I'll tell him, "What's that?" So he looks out for them. So we want him to keep the chickens safe. There it is. It's over the other side of the house. I think that's a black hawk. I don't think that that's not a turkey vulture. That's a hawk. Get out of here. You see that hawk flying over? You see it, Dyson? What was that? You see it? Here, get out of here. Dyson, get out. You see that? Look, right there. You looking for it? He's really flying around. I'm glad we're out here, huh, bud? There he is. Hey, get out of here. See that hawk? He's circling us. You see that? Look, Dyson, look. You see that? I don't like that. That guy is really circling us right now. Huh, girls? Come on, girls. I'm gonna put them in the run for a little bit, just to be safe. Come on, girls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Okay, they're all in there. That makes me really uncomfortable. He has almost the wing pattern of a turkey vulture. So at first I thought he was a turkey vulture. That was definitely a black hawk. I'm gonna have to Google the species name. I'm not quite familiar, but it's one of the ones that lives around here. Don't see very often. Usually I see red-tailed hawks, kestrels, Cooper hawks, things like that. That one was a new one for me. Don't like that. He was circling over us. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Are you gonna get that hawk if he came by? You didn't bark. You just looked at him. That's a good start though. That's a good start. Those chickens made that noise and you started looking for him. Now I will let the girls back out to free range here in a little bit, but I want to make sure that hawk gets the idea that there's no chickens on the menu today. At least not on our little homestead. So I'm really optimistic on how this is gonna do. I've only watered this GrowOya once, and I can still feel if I stick my finger in, the soil's moist just under the soil. So the top is staying dry. Until these new little seedlings get really established, I will still be watering the surface just to make sure that they're getting all of the water that they need. But as their roots grow, they'll start to grow towards this GrowOya, and they will be completely sustainable off of this GrowOya in just a few weeks. All the wild birds are kind of on alert right now, so I still think that that hawk is in the area. I can hear my girls. They are not happy that I put them in the run, but safety first. I know I'm out here, But usually when I see a hawk, like if a red tail flies over, normally whenever I see a hawk flying overhead, if I yell at it, hey, get out of here, do something, it flies away. But that's the first time I've seen that black hawk, and he wasn't intimidated by me at all. So that made me a little uncomfortable. Normally if I'm like, hey, get out of here, they're like, oh, there's somebody there, these chickens are not worth it. And he was just cool as a cucumber circling over us. He didn't mind that Dyson was there. I mean, he was just checking us out, but he definitely didn't look fearful of us or intimidated by us. So, and the fact that I still kind of hear like a warning chatters of birds nearby, I think he's taking a rest in one of the big trees around here. So unfortunately, safety first, chickens in the chicken run for a little bit. I had to go get my big sombrero out because it is like above 80, somewhere in the 80s today. And because we had that kickball tournament this morning, I'm having a little later start getting into this gardening. And unfortunately, the back garden is full sun right now. So, got my shovel, got my hat. Let's get started. Now, I do feel bad having the girls in the run. That's not fair. On a day where I'm off of work, I really enjoy keeping the girls free ranging as much as possible. I think they benefit from foraging around. They get better shade, I think, out here than what they get in their chicken run, and it's just a lot more stimulating, and you can tell that they're happy. Right now, I can hear them whining, and they all want to come out. They're at the door. So I'm gonna bring them a head of lettuce I got out of the fridge, something nice and cool and refreshing for them to eat. Hopefully perk them up a little bit, since I don't like having them in this chicken run when we're home. So, my goodness, y'all are excited for this. You ready? Oh, they're like, what is that? It's good. Some of them aren't sure, but they'll figure out it's food. All right, they are digging in. Good girls. I'm sorry. So I'll probably wait 30 minutes, an hour, and then I'll let them out if the coast is clear. All right, guys, I'm gonna start installing these Oyas. The topsoil is a little dried out, but just a few inches down, perfect soil. I think I dug it a little too deep. All right, just like that, one GrowOya is in. All right, that took less than 5 minutes. That took like maybe 3.5 minutes to install both of those. Way less work than trying to install like a dripper system or anything like that. Now this technique is thousands of years old and it has worked. So clay pots are in there. Now I just fill these up with water, and they will water a 3 foot by 3 foot space. So that'll leave about 2 feet worth that I'm still gonna have to water by hand, but that's gonna be a dramatic reduction in the amount of water I'll need for these 2 beds, which is gonna be perfect. Because I have 2 more of these GrowOyas, so I'm gonna have 2 in this one, I'm gonna put 2 in this one, and that's gonna reduce up to 70% of the water that I'm gonna be putting in these beds. And I remember last year in the heat of the summer, the peak of the growing season, I was spending up to an hour a day tending to these plants, making sure that they were watered properly. And I think that this is going to be great. It says that you can water these once or twice a week, and it's almost a gallon of water. It's just under a gallon of water that these GrowOyas fill up. So instead of standing here for an hour watering this entire garden, I'm going to fill up 5 gallons essentially of water. And then I'll still have to water by hand all of my fringe garden. Everything on the edge isn't going to have the GrowOyas, as well as a couple of the gardening spaces in the front yard. So right now I'm headed over to turn on the water, and while I'm up there I'll show you where my seedlings are. So I did have them on a table hardening off for the past week, where only at night I would put them back in the greenhouse, and then in the day I would put them on the table. And now they're pretty well hardened off, but I did put them back in the greenhouse because yesterday we had 55-mile-an-hour winds in the area, and that was also a disadvantage to our seedlings. But this is everybody. Say hi, seedlings. You guys are about to hit graduation and move into the garden beds. You see my tomatoes? They're already taller than the shelf, some of them. And see this cosmos, it's taller than the shelf. And I already have an orchid cream nasturtium that's flowering. I think that's beautiful. These guys are itching to get moved out. We have some marigolds that are flowering as well. And everything overall is just ready. But I think I'm gonna wait until either this evening or tomorrow morning, just so we're not in the full force of the sun trying to get all of this done. So, areas that are planted, we have the winter squash, my pumpkins. Oh, they're actually starting to sprout. Let me show you. So on this end I have Jarradale blue pumpkin. In the middle I have the Seminole pumpkin. We have a couple sprouted. Seminole pumpkins are off to an early start. And then I have Lady Godiva, which is also starting to sprout. So all my pumpkins are off to a great start. This Sirius blue sage is seriously really beautiful right now. A nice blooming, lots of little blooms on it. And this yarrow, I love it. Now over here, I already showed you guys my okra and my alyssum that I already transplanted out. And then in this bed, I already sowed, I direct sowed 4 different kinds of bush beans. I have them kind of sectioned off. I don't know if you see my little twigs. And then I have these PVC pipes. I guess it's PEX is what it is. And these are just a visual reminder for me when I go to plant along this trellis where my beans are. I've planted the beans on either side of the PEX, and I left this middle section for planting. I'm planning on planting tomatoes on this and something pollinator or some kind of flower herb right there. So in one section I have the golden butterwax bush bean. In another section I have the red swan bush bean. Over here I started lima beans. My seed pack only had 19 seeds in it, and I have room for 35 plants in each of these triangular sections. So I started with lima beans, and I think I ended with red swan bush beans in this section. And then in this section I have mung beans. Now I'm really excited about my mung beans. I got those in a seed swap through Whispering Willow Farms this past fall, and you were supposed to send 10 seeds in each seed packet, and I have way more than 10 seeds that I have in the mung beans, and that was just such a blessing. That just like warmed my heart, because I planted out 35 in this spot, and I still have easily over half of the seed packet left. So that person was very generous. Now, I believe I got those mung beans from A Bit of Earth on Pierce Hill. They have an Instagram channel if you want to go check them out. And so that's what I have growing in that section. I do also plan on planting out my green stalk this weekend. I'm going to fill this up with herbs and lettuce and maybe a couple more bush beans. I was planning on to completely fill this with bush beans, but I went through a lot more bush beans in that one garden bed than I expected. I think I have 30, 60, 90, 120. I have about 140 bush beans started, and I wasn't thinking I was going to use nearly that many, but it turns out you can space bush beans 4 inches apart. So lots. I have like 140 bush beans in that space. So we're going to be hopefully set on bush beans this season. All right, well, I'm going to run inside really quick and grab my other 2 Oyas and get those planted, and come join me, guys. All right, guys, so I got distracted. I did get my Oyas from inside, but the whole reason I came up here was to turn on the water. How'd y'all let me forget? Turn on the timer, turn on the hose. Now let's go to the back garden bed. Got my Oyas, got you guys. Let's go. I can feel the burn of the sun today. A lot of flies too, my goodness. The flies have awakened from their winter slumber. All right, number 3. And number 4 for today. We're gonna do the exact same thing that I did right there. I'm gonna turn on the water. So I turned on my timer, and one of these, I have a splitter. So we do have underground irrigation that comes from that faucet at the back of the house, and then it goes underground, pops up right here, goes under, and comes up right here at this splitter. And this is like a 75-foot hose, I believe, that goes, just the hose that I use goes all the way up to water the whole front of the dog yard, and I also use it to water the chickens, fill up their waters, and water the trees back here. We do have irrigation to all of the trees. You can see the dripper systems, but we have some holes in our irrigation we have to patch up before we can use these irrigations again. For now, turning on the hose to the garden. Leave it off because silly woodpecker covered it with my trash. A silly woodpecker came and poked holes in my hose right along this tree stump. See that? And so I just leave this water hose off if I'm not using it. And whenever I garden, I just turn it on for when I'm ready to garden. Get all that hot water out. Woo-wee, that's hot. Water the mulch. Okay, that's much cooler. So every day I've been coming out here and just keeping the soil moist. Trying to get these little dudes to germinate over here. Haven't seen anything. I think I planted 2 watermelon, 2 Armenian yardlong, 4 kajaris, 2 muncher pickling cucumbers, and 2 of the dragon's egg right here. Haven't seen any germination. Now, we did have a cold front last week, which is why I'm planting my garden this week, because I had my date set to get it all planted the 17th, and we got down to 36 degrees. Wasn't as cold as it could have been. I know some people in the south and other areas did hit freezing, but just to be safe, we pushed back a week, and I'm not sure if those cooler temperatures are keeping these guys from germinating or what, but I'm looking out for them. All right, let's get these started good. Switch it to jet.
Open that up. All right, and we are in business. Woo! Now watch how quick this is, guys. In the heat of the summer, you'll know what I'm talking about when you have to sit here and water your whole garden. Or you could just water these. Now, of course, I think I told you all this earlier with my okra. When I plant out anything else in here, I'm still gonna surface water until they develop roots that can access the benefits of these GrowOyas. So at first, you're gonna have your little teeny dudes, your little plant dudes, and they're not gonna be able to reach the water and they're gonna dry out. So until they develop some root system, you're still gonna have to surface water. And they'll learn, they'll grow towards the GrowOya over the season. And it will become more efficient as you go. Now, something to note about GrowOyas, I could have planted these. I got these in the mail last Monday, and it is now Saturday. I could have planted these already, but I waited because we had suspectable potential frosts. GrowOyas can crack if the weather gets below freezing. So these are great for the warmer months, and then when the winter weather comes, fall, anything that's really cold, you're gonna wanna pull these out of the ground and store them in a nice dry area for the winter, and then replant them once you're past the threat of frost, so that you don't crack your GrowOyas. So this is gonna be a wonderful addition to our spring summer garden. Little dudes opened up. All right. Perfect. Almost there. It's neat to see just how moist the soil stays below the surface. Wow, you see how easy that was? Just about anybody can plant this super efficient gardening watering system. And it takes hardly any time at all. Now I'm just eyeballing these. I'm not measuring or anything, which you could definitely do if you want to. Good, good. Oh my goodness. There it is. That was way easier than it looked. You wait. In the middle of summer, I'm gonna be acclimated to 85 degrees, and that's gonna be a cold day. But first few days of spring, it's still pretty warm. And that's it. Just planted 4 GrowOyas with me today, guys. That was really quick. Really quick. Now something I want to show y'all before we cut out today are my bachelor buttons that decided to pop open. Aren't those pretty? We have a pink one, and then that's a brilliant purple. I do have some poppies in this pot as well, but the bachelor buttons have won the race today. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and planting these GrowOyas with me. I will leave a link below if you want to go and check out where to buy these GrowOyas if that is something you're interested in. Now do stay tuned, follow along with us this growing season to see how these GrowOyas work for us out here in far western Texas in the Chihuahuan Desert. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the greatest and latest, everything going on here at Reach and Reverie on our little backyard homestead. I'll see you guys soon.